Hey, my name is Phil the Cruise. Welcome to Cruising with Phil. I have a special guest. Been a long time trying to get this lady on my interview. She's a busy lady, I know. Her name is Ingrid Buday. Got it right. Hey, Ingrid, how you doing?
I'm fabulous. Thanks so much for having me on your show, Phil. Appreciate it.
We first met at the Bikeway Coalition celebration, right? That's where you first met.
Yeah, I want to say that we've kind of bumped into each other a few times, but we actually really talked about it with when we met at the at Tom Riley Park for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Brewer Bike
Hey,
Landing.
so
That's right.
tell everybody who you are and what you're all about.
Well, so my name is Ingrid Buday, and I've been living in Toronto for over the past 10 years, and I've been living in the same place for 10 years. I have been a cyclist my whole life. I never remember not having a bike. And so as I moved to Toronto and I realized, oh my goodness, there's just not a lot of safe bike infrastructure. I realized that, I want to get involved. And especially during COVID, when I saw so many families and kids out riding and we had active TO, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. Let's make more of this. And so I got involved with Toronto Community Bikeways. I'm also involved with Cycle Toronto, and I just show up at events and
Yeah,
meet
yeah.
people.
It's great.
And then what happened was I was riding my bike one day and a big cement truck came by me and it was just like, wow, that's loud,
Oh,
and it had like the spikes on the hubs and all that. And I was just like, ooh, that's nasty.
yeah.
So that kind of what twigged me to safety on our roads. And then in my home where I've lived for the last 10 years, I know 4 years ago, I noticed that there was a lot more backfiring and a lot more modified mufflers. And I used to be able to come home, ride my bike home, and have a little nap on my balcony in the sun. And I couldn't do that anymore. So that's what got me interested in noise. And the intersection between noise and street safety is pretty strong.
Oh, wow. So you're called No More Noise Toronto, right?
That's right. I started that organization just over a year ago, year and a half ago now. Even though I noticed the noise beforehand, I didn't know if I was the only one who was kind of annoyed at these mufflers and stuff like that. So I started tweeting out on that's why I opened my Twitter account first, and I just started ranting about noise, and I found out that I am not the only one. So that's when I started to create a group and realized that there's that noise has got legs, including
Oh,
ears.
yeah. It's crazy. Well, your subject particularly appeals to me greatly because when I was in the military, I got tested for low frequency hearing. So like all my whole life, I've had problems with noise, like tuning out noise. Like when you hear your truck, I hear like a little bit more louder than you sometimes. Yeah, like
Really?
it's just like fire engines, fire truck, anything. I have to hold my like, especially my left ear. It's more sensitive to the right. So yeah. I was like when I was that's why I wanted to train in the military because of my low frequency. They put me in testing and then they put me in radar and frequency and cipher decipher because like you're the sounds between the sounds were out of so many crude words. Yeah. So I got tested a long time ago. So like put me at dog level, you know. Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's
like
incredible.
your subject is greatly appeals to me because I have all my life I have problems with noise, like especially for my hearing, like especially like Kensington Market, Chinatown, like those busy areas, like the truck. It just deafens me. Like I actually carry earplugs with me sometimes. Put them in. That's how bad my just ruptures the whole brain law, you know. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, next time I see you, I'll give you some no more noise earplugs because I got
Oh
them as
yeah.
a bit of
Oh, you got a
a
little thing. Oh, cool, cool.
tag.
That's great. Yeah, noise is such a big thing. Yeah, I mean, but I like how you did your research. It's amazing the stuff you did, like how you got into it and all.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I'm a person who I'm not a data analyst, but I've worked with data and I know the value of making good decisions from good data. And so when I worked at a company by the name of Terranet, and they manage the land registry database for the province of Ontario. So they're a very important company. So you and I are both sitting in a piece of property or on a property, and that property has a property identification number, a PIN. They manage all of that information that goes
Wow.
along with, and they use a company called Esri, which is the largest GIS company in the world. So GIS is Geographical Information Systems. And I grew up in BC, and I could look at a topographical map forever. And
Oh,
so
nice.
then when I worked at Terranet and I saw their digitized maps, I was like, oh, this is cool. So then in the first week of, or the first winter of COVID, I took an introductory GIS course. And that's when I saw that they had the technology. And so they used the Esri platform, and they had the technology where people could submit a survey on their phone, and I could design that survey, and then that survey would put a pin on the map. And that map would then be available for everybody to see. And I thought, wow, this is like, how many times have you filled in a survey, never known your responses, don't know how you compare to anybody else, nothing. And I thought, this closes the loop and collects data. So it creates community and collects
Oh,
data
that's
points
great.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You do like, yeah, you do so many surveys, you know, like where does it go, right? You know, like
right?
with yours, yeah, with the noise survey, that go, you at least you know it's going somewhere, right? You know it's gonna be at a certain point. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and you can see it on my website, like www.nomoreNoiseToronto.com, and you go to the not 311 noise report, which is what I called it, because 311, so we are told to call the city for any city related services. So we contact 311 for moving vehicle complaints because that's what we're told to do. Well, it turns out that they don't actually take those complaints. They actually say, well, what they do is they say, thank you very much, we'll keep that as a data point, but you actually need to call the police.
Oh
So
wow.
then when you contact the police, they want a picture, they want a license plate, and they want a
Yeah.
story. Well, if I get woken up at 3:30 in the morning, I don't have any of those. And even if you're on the side of the road, can you get your phone out fast enough
Yeah.
to get a picture? So the whole system was flawed. So that's why I created the not 311 noise report, so that people could actually speak up and share their voice. And so over almost 90% of our 8,500 noise reports is from moving vehicles.
Wow.
And so that is like this gap that is impacting so many people. And I mean, vehicles are a transient source. So it's hard to monitor, where leaf blowers, which impacts a lot of people too, they're more stationary. They move around, but people experience them at their homes for a period of time. But you can't log a leaf blower report with 311 during the day because it's allowed.
Yeah.
So, which doesn't make sense, because that's when they all come and people are working from home and leaf blowers are interrupting Zoom calls, meetings, concentration, studying. So that's where I think that the city isn't actually, they don't have a complete picture of the problem, and noise is a significant health problem.
The hours for the remember during the COVID they extended the hours for construction and noise.
Yeah.
Like this building, like at 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night, it was still because of the COVID they allowed that to happen, right? I think they turned the laws back. I think they got back to regular hours, but still, that was just nuts. Like, come on, 8:30 at night. Like even the Thanksgiving weekend we had just past Thanksgiving, they were doing construction in the lobby, and I phoned 301. They're working on a Sunday and a Monday on holidays, right? They're not supposed to,
Yeah.
you know. What do you think
And
of the? Sorry, go. I was gonna. What do you think of the laws about the noise hours? Do you think they should be reduced, like in the morning and the evening, or what?
yes, short answer to that is yes. What we've done, so most cities have really old noise bylaws. Montreal just updated theirs, which was 50 years ago, the last time it had a revision, or was maybe even created 50 years ago, right? Like most of the noise comes from an internal combustion engine of some sort, whether it's hammering concrete, blowing dust around, or moving a car forward. And I think at that point in time, we were like, yeah, cars can do anything. Let's expropriate homes and build highways, because the car is king. Well, now we're realizing that it shouldn't be king, especially on our roads. We need to start to have some more equality in our road space. But also now, so the city of Toronto's bylaws were 20 years old. So this bylaw review that we have now is since over 20 years ago. 2002 is when they had that. So what we need to do now is reprioritize commercialization and expediency, and prioritize public health on top of that. Because we've said, yeah, construction can go at any time. Oh, because it's necessary. Isn't people's sleep
Yeah.
necessary? That is where we rest, we recover, we rejuvenate, we get ready for the next day. Something else that happened during COVID, which I learned during the public consultations that the city had in September, is for safety reasons, they allowed private companies to do garbage and delivery 24/7.
Oh my
So
gosh. Oh,
like consultations, people up at there was one gentleman up at Young and Egg, and he's like, so now they're building condos, right? All that back onto a laneway. Well, all the garbage goes through that laneway. So you've got, let's say, 4 condos on a laneway. Well, you can have garbage pickup 4 different days of the week, and they happen at 4 in the morning. Can you imagine getting woken up by the clanging and the banging of
oh
garbage
yeah,
trucks?
there's the medical bill right beside me here. 4 o'clock in the morning, the truck comes by, and it has to go down to this alleyway. It's loud, like it's
Loud. And we've got
nuts.
noise canyons. When that truck is going through a noise canyon, that sound just
Oh yeah,
bounces
yeah.
right up.
4 o'clock in the morning, like you can just like I should say every day you come, except for Sundays. But every day you can hear a clockwork. 4 o'clock, here he comes in the morning. I go like, really? I go like, is there a bylaw about this or what? You know?
For
Nuts.
safety reasons, they took that away during COVID. So one of the proposed refinements of the noise bylaw is that that allowance gets removed. That exception gets removed. The problem is as we're learning, the province can do whatever they want,
Yeah.
and so they can come in and change this and change that without regard for what the people want or what is good for our health. And that's, to me, I'm a process oriented
Well,
person, and that's wrong.
Well, they're putting profit over people's personal safety and health well-being, right? That's the problem. I was going to ask you a question. What do you think? I know some of the European cities are reading about this, that they're now trying to, like, for say, deliveries, trucks, any kind of noise, like excessive, except for construction, it's now going to be reduced to during like traffic jam, like like rush hour, or whatever. So, say for example, like if they pass a law here, you can't do any more delivery trucks after 7 o'clock, no more construction after 7, anything with heavy trucks, any and kind of like machinery on the main roads, even side roads is even worse. I wish they passed a by. I wish they passed. I'm getting side. I wish they passed a bylaw about that, but no more noise after a certain hour because that's people's well-being. Like after 7 o'clock, everybody's home. Most people are home except shift workers, right? But I was gonna ask you to get sidetracked. The trucks going on the side roads here, like you've probably seen them many times. Like they're making shortcuts on me. They're going through neighborhoods, right? It's like I saw the other day. They're moving these houses on trucks, and the guy went to take a shortcut just down the road here. It's like he actually went through like a small neighborhood. Like the truck was this, it was ridiculous, and it was so loud because he had like double engine orders. It was nuts. I wish they passed a bylaw. I don't think they have one. Maybe you can check about using side roads for commercial vehicles. I don't think you should.
You know what, Phil, you bring up a really good point, because bylaws are reactive instruments to something that's already going on. And
Yeah,
the thing is that what came across also in the public consultations, that you can have great bylaws, but if you have no enforcement,
that's the
people
thing,
do
right?
whatever they want,
Yeah,
like for motor vehicles, when a vehicle comes off of the line, it is tested for 82 decibels under standard 1106. And so that is when a vehicle is built in Canada and it's tested. But they're saying that imports come under that 82 decibels, and that electric vehicles should also come under that standard 82 decibels. The problem is that once that vehicle comes into the country or gets put on a truck from the manufacturing facility, then the provincial laws take over. And the provincial laws say you shall not modify. Well, but that still doesn't have, where did that 82 decibels go?
yeah,
And back to your point of, there should be a way that we actually have a standard that we are going after, kind of like Vision Zero.
yeah.
And so I was talking with some people, and we're like, well, maybe we need a vision statement for noise. And we came up with TO night 45.
Oh,
And so that's Toronto night decibel level limit of 45 decibels. And that's what the World Health Organization recommends for a good night's sleep. And that should be from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I'm kind of gunning for is, let's get something like a Vision Zero for noise, and let's get a committee and an advisory group that can help manage that, because noise is complicated. Clearly you have a different relationship to sound
Yeah.
than I do, because you hear those low tones.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it has its advantage of being low frequency hearing, like for hearing things, like from certain
Yeah,
things, like yeah. But it has a disadvantage. Yeah, like when I have the flu or I have a cold, I can hear everything. Like it just opens up. So it's like yeah,
really.
it just reverberates. It just yeah, it's just crazy. But I get used to it. You
Yeah.
get used to it when you get older. But another question for you is Do you think they should raise the fines? Is there any heavy fines?
Well, so there's two sets of fines. So back to the whole idea. Sorry, I just changed my door a little bit. Is the
Oh no,
lighting
you're fine. Yeah, yeah, you're fine.
yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's three levels of government, right? So there's the federal government, and I talked about 1106, the standard 1106. Then you've got the provincial government, and so police can charge under the Highway Traffic Act. The fine for an improper vehicle for an improper muffler is $110.
Okay.
The exhaust system costs more than that.
Yeah.
Then under the city, there's making unreasonable, unnecessary noise, and that fine is $500. So that's not enough, clearly,
No, no, it's not.
because many people are doing it, even though it's illegal, because there's no enforcement and the penalties are next to nothing. If they've got a 250, I've got somebody who lives in my condo who's got a McLaren, and he leaves at like 6:30 in the morning, and boy, I can hear that engine.
Oh man.
And it's just like, so where do those bylaws go, and what is the fines? And that's where so a $610 fine means nothing to them.
Yeah,
Like
because
the exhaust system costs $10,000,
yeah.
so we also need to attach demerit points, because then that will affect the insurance. The thing is that the city has asked the province for that, and you know what we've gotten as a response from the province? Crickets. Nothing, because they don't need to respond to our requests. It's the same thing for noise cameras. So there's this technology now where there's a camera, and then there's an array of microphones around it. Basically, there's different configurations, but the idea is that it triggers on a decibel level, back to your number, and then that it pinpoints the license plate, takes a picture, and sends a ticket to the offender, to the driver, to the owner of the vehicle.
I was just thinking about it before you said that about the cameras in the areas or whatever. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And people are saying, oh, well, we don't know if they hold up in court and this and that. Well, New York City has tested 7 of them. They've done a pilot over the last year and a bit. And it just came out in the news that the city, yesterday, the city councilors approved adding 5 new cameras for each borough.
Oh,
So that means there's 25 noise cameras at a cost of $35,000 US each. And they are seeing that as a benefit, as something that needs to happen in order to mitigate sound coming from vehicles and unnecessary honking and all this other stuff. But we need the cooperation of the province.
the
And they've got other things to do.
did they in the pilot project in New York? Did they get any numbers of how many fines were set or trial fines were set or whatever?
Yeah, they did. And because that came out yesterday, I
Oh,
just need
cool.
to. Can you give me a moment where I can just look
Oh,
at
wait,
that?
yeah.
Okay, you can pause and do whatever you need
No,
to
I can
do.
see it now. I'm on a record. I'm recording you researching.
Oh, okay.
That's so good. No, wait.
Well, I put it
That's
on.
cool.
Let me just go to my posts here, and let me just see here. I was tweeting a lot about Ontario Place as well.
How long was the pilot project for? Do you know how long the length of time?
The noise cameras.
No,
Um,
the whole project. Well, how long was the project for? Like the pilot project?
I want to say it was over a year, because they don't notify people exactly
Yeah.
when it starts. They're always a little bit more. Yeah, so the Department of New York, when in the pilot, they issued 218 violations for modified mufflers and 147 violations for excessive honking.
Wow.
So that doesn't sound like a whole bunch, but it's certainly more than what's been done in Toronto.
Yeah, yeah.
They're also a bigger city, but that what that does is that starts to set a precedent. And right now, we don't have a precedent in Toronto that there's going to be any kind of repercussions. The city could go to muffler shops that say, "Hey, modify for a crack, pop, and bark out of your muffler,"
Mhm.
which is illegal, because you shall not modify your muffler. The city could go and visit those shops and revoke their licenses, but they don't, for whatever reason.
And those fines in the states in New York, those all that money went back to the city, right?
I'm not sure where the money goes, but they
That'd be good
also
for a year. Like they want to make money for the city. Put this into effect. Noise, right? The cameras and all that. make money for the city. I'm guarantee you'll get a lot of money for the city with all the noise going on.
There's business cases that can be made for sure. And so what they did, what they said, I just see my other post here, and that the noise cameras are activated at 85 decibels. So we're back to this kind of number
Oh, the
again.
noise, yeah.
And the violations are from 800 to 2,500
Oh,
US.
wow.
So that's it starts higher than our biggest
Yeah.
threshold for noise.
Wow, that's
For
amazing.
vehicles, anyways.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah.
$800. Wow, that's good.
And yeah, you know, and that's what needs to happen, because otherwise people will do, like, we know, if we just let people do whatever they're going to do, it's going to keep getting worse, and it's going to keep getting more, and finally, I really think as a society we're getting a little frayed at the edges because we never get rest, whether it's from our own addictions to our cell phones,
Yeah.
or the Harleys that go by my place at 3 a.m. and wake me up. You know, like, people are just not getting, our adrenals are always going. And so if we are this kind of, you know, we're frying at the edges and we're a little bit annoyed and our patience is like this, well then, I mean, people have said that kids in playgrounds bother them for noise. And it's like, well, that shouldn't be. But I bet you if they had a good night's sleep and they didn't have the construction going from one house to another in their neighborhoods, kids playing in the playground may not be such a issue.
I'm gonna ask you, one of my biggest peeves with construction sites, they leave the machines running all day. They're not even working on the area, right? I'll give you an example. Like they closed down Queen Street between Young and Bay because they're gonna put the Ontario line underneath. They're gonna go, so that's close for the next 4 years. I talked to the guys there during the Remembrance Day. I said, so I said, you guys working? He said, no, we're not gonna be for another year and a half. Like, why'd you close the road down? Because you're making all this noise for nothing. They're just jackhammering, and it's like he said, yeah, they'll by the time it comes, like, well, we shut it down in advance. I mean, what, advance is a year and a half. How far do you want to go? What? Yeah, so like right now, it's just sitting there. They're not doing anything. It's just
Yeah.
they're wasting. It's just a waste. That's so my thing is about noise. Like on Young Street, you see these machines going all the time, like 24 hours, and I'm looking around like, where's the construction on this? Like where's this leading? So that's my biggest thing is like, unnecessary noise like that. Turn it off. You're gonna use a machine, put it on, and then when you finish, turn it off. There's no reason to have it 24 hours like that.
And that's probably a gas generator then, right? Or the machine
Yeah.
running on gas. So that's where noise has a tie to climate change.
Yeah.
Because I was walking down the street and there was this souped up Honda Civic and big 4-inch, muffler off the back. And I walked by it and it was like the exhaust was just like, you could smell the gas.
Yeah. Exhaust and noise.
So
Yeah.
when they're modifying those emission controls, guess what? They're puking out greenhouse gases.
But even
And
on Queen Street, they have the I gotta think it's food trucks. My biggest thing is like on Queen Street, lunchtime, whatever time you go there, they're always got the trucks are running, and it's all like I said, fume gas fumes. Like I wouldn't even eat there. Like I can't stand the smell of gas. So like
yeah,
yeah, so between actually on Queen between at City Hall at
yep.
the street every day you can during the weekday it's just constantly 24 hours. I asked the guy, "What do you got this truck running? We got to keep the motor or to keep the electricity going." I said, "Well, why don't you get a generator instead of like running
What
this?"
solar power?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just, and I complained to the city many times. I said, well, that's a food truck and all that. They had to get the machines going. Well, that's not the case. There's no reason for a truck to run all that time for 3 hours, feeding people, right? It's just a turnoff for me, you know?
Well, and so then you look at the human impact of that. So I was at City Hall last week a number of times
Yeah. I saw your
debating.
deputation. It's so cool.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
They made you rush your thing. It's so funny, like, can you do it in 5 minutes?
I had to take two 5-minute presentations
I
and
know.
condense them, and I was just like,
But I like the
um,
counselor Carol gave you the extra minutes when you asked the question. She's a nice lady. She's one of my favorite
he
counselors.
is amazing,
Yeah,
and
she's
the
so nice. Yeah.
staff is great too. But they, just as a note, they don't make um, being available for deputations easy. But on another note, back to the noise and at Queen Street there. So I walked out and yeah, I could smell the exhaust, but I also saw people who live there. They've got suitcases, they've got sleeping bags, they got all this stuff that is
Oh, yeah.
their home. And then they are subjected to that generator noise
Yep.
and air pollution as long as those trucks are there. So that is probably for 20 hours that they run. Like, I don't know when they open and when they close, but it's a long time. And so that's where noise is actually an equity issue, because people that are, there's a stat. So there was a report done initially, I've got my stats here. There's so at the start of the noise bylaw review, there was a report done for Toronto Public Health called How Loud is Too Loud? And I refer to this report a lot. A collaborator of mine, Professor Tor Oyamo from Metropolitan University is a collaborator, and he was the lead researcher on this report. And the stat that came out was that areas in the lowest income quartile are 11 times more likely than the highest to have 50% of respondents exposed to greater than 55 decibels at night.
Oh my
So
gosh.
what it means is that people that live on arterials, people that are unhoused, people that are already suffering, suffer more. And that's just where noise is something. So back to those people that are living there, we have an outdoor neighbor in our neighborhood, and boy, where he lives under a bridge. It's loud. It's so
Oh my
loud.
gosh.
I could
Yeah.
barely have a conversation with him. So these people that are already burdened are extra burdened
Extra noise and all,
with,
yeah.
yeah,
It
yeah,
just plays on their health as
absolutely.
well. It's funny you said about the low income rates. I was just thinking about like Lawrence, on Lawrence here. Lawrence goes all the way. The bus route goes on Lawrence all the way, then it stops at I think it's Leslie and Turner, because the bus route can't go through this rich area. This is a really ritzy
The
area, but
bridle path.
yeah, and you know why? Because they don't want it there, right? They don't want the excess noise. But I also I find it kind of arbitrary. Like, okay, what? So you got some certain income, you can stop the bus route because the bus route should go all the way through, I believe. But because it's been like that for years, but I find it funny that it's a very quiet area. It's hilarious because they got
Yeah,
money, right?
yeah.
So,
Well,
money should be the issue. I think it shouldn't be an issue for that. Everybody
well,
should be equal.
everybody should be equal,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is that there's another article that just came out. So I've got Google alerts for noise exhaust and noise bylaws and all this kind of stuff. So I get an
Is this
inbox
on your
every day.
Ingrid? Is this on your website? Is it on your website to check out?
Not everything is on my
Okay.
website because I can't put it all there. It's just kind of crazy, but I've got information kind of in. So on my website, you've got there's a green banner right now that's going to change, and I'm going to have a revolving carousel that's going to share some information. But then below that are different tiles that actually, so each one clicks into a story, and it clicks into the Toronto noise bylaws. It clicks into Toronto noise data. It clicks into the laws and regulations so that people can be informed. But back to the equity piece is that it is well understood that people like in the US, where they had the practice of redlining and
Mhm.
greenlining neighborhoods, redlined neighborhoods are predictably more loud. They suffer from more health impacts, and they had literally they starved neighborhoods so that they could put highways through them, and then
Yeah.
whoever left is suffering incredibly. And that's just where these are part of the systemic injustices that are built into our system, that if we really want change, we need to start revising those systems and revamping those policies so that they are more equitable. But I do think that noise is getting a little bit more traction because it's affecting the wealthier people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now they're noticing. Yeah, they're only people, right?
Yeah, well, now they've got a neighbor that's modified his pipes on his Harley and starts it up at 5 in the morning or whatever, and lets it run for 5 minutes to warm it up. Give me a
There's
break.
this. My car's in the garage down below. There's these two cars. One's got a Honda, a double. Like I go, come on, you got a double thing on a Honda? Come on, get a better car, get a more fancy car if you're gonna soup up your car. But anyways, when he starts his car in the morning, he sits there with his cell phone, like the whole garage echoes, right? I'm like, hold my ears, like, buddy, give it a rest.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. They should extend that bylaw for garages. I mean, you can't have smoking garages. Do the thing with bylaw. Any excessive noise, have that meter, the camera beeps that car sitting there for like half an hour. I went once. I went out shopping. The guy was sitting in the car with the thing revving. I came back half an hour. He's still sitting there.
because he's
Charged the
lost
guy.
in his phone, right?
Yeah, yeah, but the thing's like the whole place is just the smoke, and also the garage is. You know what? Smoke, pollution, trash for noise, right there, and idling a car. Three things right there. You know?
Absolutely. I think those cameras should be at every ramp going
Yeah.
out of the garage, because that's when they need to accelerate. And there was one guy, a guy with a Harley, and boom, I use my phone as a sound level meter, and there's an app called Smarter Noise Pro, and you get video, decibel, and audio. So you
Nice.
hear all of those three pieces and see all of those three pieces. And I caught it, and it was 105 decibels. And it's like, holy smokes, where did the 82 go? Where did that, you know? And they like to hear that. And so that goes back to a little bit to the climate change, is that many of us, I have a balcony, but I can't use it and I can't sleep with the door open because of the noise. And so I go inside and I turn on air conditioning. Now, I'm lucky to have air conditioning. How many people don't? How many
No.
people, or have the, we were in Ottawa and we were in a suite that had one of those air conditioners that hangs out the window,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
portable air conditioners.
yeah.
That's just like inviting the sound right in. There is no sound barrier there whatsoever. And when you think about it, yeah, it's because there's air passage between the two. So people that don't have control over their heating and cooling, and that have to sleep with the window open, again, probably on arterials, probably already louder. And I've done some analysis on arterials versus highway and peak noise spikes, like you see behind me in
Oh
my
yeah,
background. And it's just like, it's just so unfair. And so this is all related to climate change. And you know, if we can, once we fix noise, the benefits are instant. So when you think about it, if you want to clean the air, it takes a while for the air to clean out. If you want to clean the soil, it takes a while for the soil to clean out. But noise, we all know what it's like, because we've had that random car alarm go off, and we think we're ignoring it. We think we're ignoring it. We think we're fine. And then the car alarm shuts off and we go, ah,
yeah.
that's noise pollution. And that's how quick the fix can be.
Those car alarms, they have three cars, like throughout the day, and they'll go off like half an hour. Like, buddy, go get your car, like, and then he just clicks it. Just
Yeah, yeah,
there should be a
yeah.
time. I think there should be a limit on the car, uh, like a time limit, like automatically. If it goes off a certain time, it just shuts off automatically, right? You know.
That would be helpful, maybe mitigates the reason for it. But clearly car alarms, I mean, the police just got a whole bunch of people that were re-VINing numbers or re-VINing cars, and
Oh,
from
yeah, yeah,
Service
yeah. On
Ontario. A
service
car
Ontario,
alarm
yeah,
does
yeah.
nothing. If they
That's
really want to break into it, boom, like they know how to do that faster, that they disalarm the car alarm probably right away, or they don't even care,
talking about the Service Ontario, the three employees there. That's crazy. Oh my gosh, geez. You
Yeah,
wonder like how far people go, or whatever.
yeah.
And this is nuts. So, anyways, I was gonna ask you, your passion and all is now you're very busy now all the time with this, you know, fighting for noise, which is nice to see. That's why it's so nice to see you're so busy. So, when I first met you back in bike thing, that was back in July, I think it was, right? I think it was July. So from the time I talked to you, I mean, you introduced yourself there and you said, "Hi, my name's Ingrid. I'm for more noise Toronto." I said, "That's cool." And I said, "I gotta get her for an interview one day." But here I am talking to you. So so how busy you become since back then till now? Like you're always out the door and you know.
It's wild. We have such limited opportunities to make a difference. And that's where, when I learned that this bylaw is updating an old bylaw from 2002, and it's like, wow. So it was really interesting because, again, I kind of became aware of noise a little bit more during COVID. So Doug Ford took away Drive Clean, and he did that in 2019, which
Oh yeah,
was the last visual inspection of a car.
yeah,
So, okay, so guess what? All bets are off. You can do whatever you want.
yeah.
Then, when I looked, the noise bylaw has got a number of different components to it: amplified sound, construction, two-stroke engines, vehicles, all that stuff. So during COVID, they had to put that on pause. And so in spring of 2022, they started back with the vehicle noise. And I was like, oh, I didn't miss my opportunity. Wow. So that's when I started to depute, started to understand the traction that we could get. And so I started No More Noise Toronto in September of 2022, after that all passed. So I've been watching this. And initially they were going to, municipal licensing and standards was going to report back to the city in the in early 2023. And I thought, okay, we'll get ready for that. But then they said, no, we need to actually. So I think the reason why they delayed this until September of this year, not in the beginning of this year, but until September, was because every other year had skewed data, skewed noise data, because our roads were not normal, right? So then in July, so I've been watching this. And then in July, I was like, okay, they were talking about noise consultations. I'm like, at some point, this is going to hit. And it's not going to hit in July and August. It's going to hit in September. And it did. So
Wow.
the city held those 6 public consultations, and I'm not working alone. I'm working with groups of people that have been advocating for noise bylaws since 2016, since this whole review started, and that's the Toronto Noise Coalition, and they've been great. Gasbusters is also another great group. They are focused on leaf blowers, and so
Well,
I've been working.
sorry, I work with leaf floors. You know, it's really funny. I work landscaping. You have to wear earplugs. So like, I'm like, if I'm wearing earplugs, how does people feel out there with me blowing this thing all the time, right? You know?
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and then I was walking behind one videoing them with my Sound Level Meter Pro, and I could smell the exhaust again,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they
So
leak
so
a
what
lot of
happened?
they all leak. A lot of those machines leak because when I'm finished, I'm sticking of oil all, or gas all the time, right?
Apparently 50% or a really high percentage of the gas is just burned off.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not
just like that.
utilized for the machine itself.
Because they mix it with a solution of water, oil, and another base. It's a thing you buy, right? You gotta dilute
That's
it, but still,
right.
yeah. But that's a chemical still.
Yeah,
People have used it.
absolutely going into our air.
Yeah.
So for back to the city and the timing. So I worked with the Toronto Noise Coalition, and what we did was we participated in every single public consultation. So that was, about 2 weeks or 3 weeks of doing public consultations. And I did a lot of promotion for that. I wanted people to attend. I wanted people to get involved. Then we did follow-up sessions and recorded them. Those are on my YouTube channel. I have a company by the name of Datensaft, and so that's where the YouTube channel that I've got that under. And so we did follow-up sessions for people that couldn't attend the public sessions.
Okay.
And then what we did
Sorry,
was
didn't interrupt you. You want to do the next session right after?
yep.
Yeah, and you can talk like text all you want. So I'll end this one. We'll go to the next one right away. It's up to you. If you want to take a break, or want to do it right away.
No, I'm good.
Okay, so I'll end this one and continue your conversation. Hold that thought. We'll come back to you in about 5 seconds.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
we'll see you in 2 seconds there.